In a serene suburban neighborhood where life unfolded at a steady, predictable rhythm, James Carter led a seemingly unremarkable existence. His home was modest, his lawn impeccably maintained, and his daily routine as ordinary as they come. To his neighbors, he was just another friendly face, a reserved man who offered a polite wave when passing by. But beneath this unassuming facade lay a world of expertise few could fathom. James had spent years perfecting his skills as a security consultant, helping businesses and organizations fortify their safety measures. By night, his work took on a more intense edge. He trained members of the local SWAT team, preparing highly skilled officers for high-stakes scenarios like hostage rescues and active shooter situations. Despite his impressive credentials, James valued his privacy and kept his professional life under wraps, cherishing the quiet simplicity of suburban living. The neighborhood itself was a postcard of suburban bliss, with tree-lined streets, neatly trimmed hedges, and families immersed in their daily routines. Children rode bikes through cul-de-sacs, and neighbors exchanged pleasantries over backyard fences. But not everyone shared James's appreciation for tranquility. One resident, Laura Mitchell, thrived on control. As the self-appointed head of the Homeowners Association (HOA), Laura enforced every rule with relentless zeal, from mailbox colors to lawn decorations. Her obsession with order wasn't limited to emails or bulletin board notices. She patrolled the streets on weekends, clipboard in hand, documenting infractions like a self-styled suburban sleuth. Her beehive made her both feared and ridiculed, though few dared confront her directly. Tension simmered as Laura's grip on the community tightened, with some residents grumbling quietly while others avoided her entirely. Life continued its usual course until one evening when Laura's fixation on rules collided with James's hidden expertise. Her relentless pursuit of perfection was about to lead her into a situation she couldn't comprehend, one that would shake the neighborhood to its core. Laura's need to micromanage had reached new heights, and she was determined to cement her role as the ultimate enforcer of order. While some found her antics amusing, her memos about acceptable holiday wreath sizes were hard not to laugh at, others felt suffocated by her interference. But Laura was undeterred. To her, being feared was better than being ignored. One evening, Laura took her crusade a step further. Inspired by a late-night documentary on crime prevention, she announced the creation of a neighborhood safety patrol. Armed with cheap walkie-talkies, flashlights, and clipboards stuffed with notes, she recruited a small group of neighbors too intimidated or curious to decline. The patrol's mission was simple: report anything suspicious. But Laura's definition of suspicious was a crookedly parked car, a dog walked after dark, or a child playing past 7 p.m. All warranted scrutiny. Most interventions were awkward conversations or stern warnings, but Laura saw herself as a hero keeping chaos at bay. Things escalated one night when Laura spotted something that truly set her off. James Carter's garage light was left on overnight. It wasn't the first time she'd noticed this minor infraction, but now, emboldened by her patrol's authority, she decided it demanded immediate action. She rallied her team and marched to James's house, clipboard in hand, ready to confront the issue. When repeated knocks on his door went unanswered, Laura's agitation grew. "This isn't normal," she muttered to her nervous crew. "No one leaves their garage light on unless something's wrong." Her imagination spiraled. Perhaps a burglary was in progress or squatters had taken over. Convoying said drastic measures were justified. She retrieved an HOA spare key, meant for emergencies only, and unlocked James's front door. Laura pushed open the door, her flashlight beam slicing through the darkness. "Hello, is anyone here?" she called, trying to sound authoritative but betraying a hint of nerves. Her team followed hesitantly, their flashlights trembling. The house was silent except for the hum of appliances and the creak of floorboards. Laura led the way, clutching her clipboard like a shield, peering into corners for signs of trouble. Unbeknownst to her, James wasn't asleep or absent. He'd been awake for hours, practicing tactical drills in his living room, which he'd transformed into a training space with mats, low lighting, and targets. Dressed in full tactical gear, protective vest, gloves, and all moved with precision. When he heard footsteps and voices, his instincts kicked in. No one should be in his home Ted. As Laura's team fumbled deeper into the house, James positioned himself silently in the shadows near the doorway. His years training SWAT teams allowed him to assess the situation instantly. These weren't criminals, but amateurs breaking into his home was still a serious offense. When Laura's flashlight landed on his face, James stepped forward. "Stop right there," he said, his voice calm but commanding. Laura froze, her mouth agape. Before she could react, James disarmed the nearest team member, gently taking their flashlight. One by one, he neutralized the situation, ensuring safety while making it clear they were not in control. Laura stammered, her bravado crumbling. What are you doing?" she choked out. James didn't answer immediately. He flipped on the lights, revealing himself in tactical gear, every inch the professional. The group gasped, stunned by the scene. "You broke into my house," James said, his tone measured. "Care to explain why?" Laura's mind raced, unable to reconcile the quiet neighbor she thought she knew with the skilled figure before her. It was clear they were in deeper trouble than they'd imagined. The room fell silent except for the hum of the lights. Laura and her patrol stood frozen, their flashlights useless. James, in tactical gear, radiated calm authority. "Let me get this straight," he said, his voice deliberate. "You broke into my house because my garage light was on? That's your emergency." His tone wasn't angry, but its edge made them flinch. Laura, clutching her clipboard, stammered, "We thought something was wrong." No one answered, so we wanted to check. Her voice cracked. Her team shifted uncomfortably, avoiding eye contact. James raised an eyebrow. "So, breaking in was your solution? Do you realize how dangerous that is? What if I hadn't been alone? Or reacted differently?" His gaze swept over them, lingering on Laura. "You don't walk into someone's property like you own it. It's not just Riddy, it's illegal." He gestured to his training setup. "I train SWAT teams. I teach people how to handle situations like this, people who break into homes or disturb the peace. Tonight, you walked into my territory." Laura's face flushed red. Her team muttered excuses. "We didn't think it'd go this far," one said. "We were just trying to help," another added. "Help?" James repeated sharply. "Help by violating my privacy?" Assuming the worst because of a light. He shook his head. Deciding to make it a teachable moment, he softened slightly. "I'm not calling the police, but you need to understand why this was a bad idea." He invited them to stay for a brief demonstration, setting up a simulation of a home invasion scenario. As he disarmed imaginary intruders, the group watched in stunned silence, their earlier bravado gone. James ended with a warning. "Next time, knock and leave it alone if no one answers. Trust me, you don't want to know what happens when someone takes your intrusion seriously." The group shuffled out, humiliated. By morning, the neighborhood buzzed with whispers. Laura stayed locked in her house, too embarrassed to face anyone. Her team avoided eye contact, dodging questions. James, meanwhile, went about his itinerary vying his newspaper, tending his garden unfazed. The HOA called an emergency meeting, packed with curious residents. Laura appeared pale and defeated, avoiding eye contact. James arrived, exuding quiet confidence. He spoke calmly. "I'm not here to point fingers, but we need to discuss why this matters." He explained property rights and privacy, adding, "Ask yourself if you'd want someone doing it to you." His words resonated, especially with those tired of Laura's overreach. Residents voiced concerns about the patrol's tactics, questioning the HOA's role in monitoring homes. Laura, feeling the shift in sentiment, apologized tearfully. "I thought I was helping, but I caused more harm than good." She resigned as HOA head, and the patrol disbanded. In the weeks that followed, the neighborhood transformed. The oppressive presence of Laura's patrols vanished, replaced by a renewed sense of community. Residents chatted more, lingered on porches, and felt a collective relief. James returned to his quiet life, but his reputation had shifted. No longer just the polite neighbor, he was respected, even admired. Parents whispered stories of him as a real-life hero, and the mail carrier joked about parking perfectly near his house. Laura, unable to face the scrutiny, sold her home and moved away. The HOA elected a new, diplomatic leadership team, revising policies like the spare key rule. James became a local legend, his workshops on safety and conflict resolution drawing crowds. By autumn, the neighborhood felt warmer, more connected. People smiled more, argued less, and embraced kindness and respect. The drama of Laura's patrol became a humorous anecdote, a reminder of lessons learned about boundaries and the dangers of overreach. James reflected with amusement and satisfaction. He hadn't sought to teach a lesson, but by defending his space, he'd shown that ordinary lives can hold extraordinary potential. The neighborhood moved forward, wiser and stronger, with the story of Laura's misguided patrol fading into legend, retold with laughter at backyard barbecues. Thanks to a quiet man who knew when to step into the spotlight, the community had found balance, proving that sometimes being underestimated is the greatest advantage of all.